We are back, another episode of the Steelers Chat, and it is a short week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, we're back a little bit early, and I had to have my guy Josh back on the show because he was at the game as well on Sunday. So I said, you know what, Josh, please come on. Let's talk about what we went through on Sunday.
Yeah, thank you for having me back on. We were just talking before the show started how miserable it was. I got to my seat early. I went with my brother, and next thing you know, the skies just opened up, and it went from that light drizzle to a legit downpour there for about 5-10 minutes, and yeah, it just made for a rough start to the game, and it never got better from there.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the rain and weather was a factor for the players. Um, I don't know. I did hear reports of people TJ falling down, and I don't know, but it definitely was just an emotional roller coaster of a game
Yeah.
for me. Just one seeing Minkah Fitzpatrick go down super early in the game, and offensively, that's just not. As it felt like when we finally got the offensive momentum, it was immediately shot by Kenny Pickett's injury going into
Mm-hmm.
the halftime.
Yeah.
Um, I had a lot going on in my section. The fans were fighting. I wanted this game to be over
Yeah.
at halftime. I just wanted
Yeah.
to go home right then and there because it was emotionally draining. So we were sitting in different areas of the stadium, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like your overall experience just watching the injury after injury and the refs and the flags. Just what was your overall take from your POV?
That was the first game I've sat in the stands for in about 2 years. So it was fun. It was cool to be around the Steeler fans. You hear a lot of the conversations around you. They were kind of funny. Just around those Yinzers again, and I felt at home. But it's funny. Before the game started, we were at our tailgate, and I said to a friend, I said, "You watch. With it raining, this is the perfect weather for the Steelers to come out and establish the run game and really muck it up." I said, "But you watch, they're going to come out and throw the football a bunch in the first half."
Yeah.
And sure enough, they come out. And I do think the weather played a part on Deontay's drop to open the game. It was raining pretty good there at that point, and I think the ball was just a little wet. It was a tiny bit high from Kenny, but that's a ball Deontay has to catch. But man, this team, when it comes to injuries, it always seems to happen to the key guys. I mean, you have Cam Hayward go down in week 1. He tears his groin. He's out. He's still on IR. Then you see Kenny Pickett go down early in the year. Then he goes down at halftime in this one. And Minkah, I mean, it was a gut punch seeing that guy face down on the turf, grabbing the back of his leg, because you just knew immediately, okay, that's not good.
Yeah.
For as long as he was on the turf, it just got worse and worse. And
Yeah. And it took me a minute to realize it was him. So,
yeah, I was looking around. I was like, is that KZ? Is that Neil? Is that Joey Porter? Who is that? And then it was like, oh Lord, that's Minkah. That's the last guy we can lose. And the way he walked off the field slowly, immediately went to the locker room, and then within a blink of an eye, it put up on the board, Fitzpatrick hamstring out for game. It was like, yeah, that's a quick rollout. That's a bad one. There's no chance he's playing Thursday. We found out obviously Monday from Mike Tomlin that he is out for Thursday night's game against the Titans. Yeah. But I'm concerned it's going to be a longer term injury, and we could see Minkah on IR. Yeah. So we'll find out after this game
Thursday for sure. Yeah. If it is one of those instances where they have to put him on IR. I was actually sitting in front of the blue tent. So I saw him go in the blue tent, but it was like quick. And, when it's quick like that, they're immediately going to the locker room. I was like, okay, maybe he's just going to go to the locker room and they're going to give him some medicine or something and he's going to come back out. And then he did come out and he came out pretty fast, but he was in a sweatsuit. So, and it was just so sad to see, even seeing him during the game. He came back out, but he was just kind of like mentoring and coaching guys, and you could just see the disappointment kind of like on his face, like he couldn't be out there, but he was. Again, just being Minkah, I've seen his kind of leadership change throughout the year, even talking to George. When George got his touchdown, he went over and talked to him. And, as even, was it KZ that got the interception?
Yes.
Yeah. So KZ, he went and talked to him after. I mean, just, being that leader, even though he couldn't be out there with the guys. So hopefully, like I said, we'll find out on Thursday if Minkah's going to be a long-term injury, and it will be the first time it'll be a long-term injury for us missing him. Our top tackler on the team. Actually, I don't know if Quan, I don't know how many tackles Quan had. He might have caught up with him by now. I didn't check that before the show. But.
Yeah, I think he's still one behind him, but I mean, you had the post earlier in the week, and I remember I had responded to you. It was 2021 all over again. Minkah was on pace for 145 tackles, and I mean, on one hand, that shows how great he is, but on the other hand, you don't want your safety leading the team in tackles. Period.
Absolutely not.
So that's a brutal loss, and I think we saw how challenging his absence is going to be moving forward. KZ did have the nice interception in the end zone, the brutal decision to try and come out and step out of bounds at the 2-yard line. And then after that, I mean, him and Neal were picked on by Trevor Lawrence throughout the rest of the game, key situations, third downs, all of that. It was a mess. And without that guy, that star back there, they don't have the answers. They don't have the answers.
I mean, I don't think Minkah gets enough credit. I know I give him the credit, but I don't feel like he gets enough credit he gets the credit from the quarterbacks, because they do try to avoid him, but I don't think it's said. Right. I really don't think it's really said enough. And they, like you said, they got to pick on whoever they wanted to. That filled in for him. So it's unfortunate. And I know you mentioned Deontay Johnson missing that ball, and I don't think people at home understood the weather conditions and the fact, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because not just like the ball slippery, your vision is impacted by that. Your face mask is impacted by that. Like, you're battling a couple of different elements in that weather, and people don't have compassion for that. And I know you still got to make those plays, but I mean, weather did play a factor. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying these are the elements in which they were playing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, right away, I was in section 104, and the wind was coming into our face. So that was the way that the offense was going to open the game. So I could see how the rain and the wind affected maybe Deontay's vision, because it was right in our face. It's hitting him in the face as he's running downfield and looking back for the ball. It's a play he has to make. I get it. If he wants to be considered that wide receiver one that I personally think he is, that's a play he has to make, period. But the elements are a factor. People want to talk about how much they love that Acrisure Stadium is still an outdoor stadium on the North Shore. We get, the key seasons in there, winter, fall, all that. You have to live with the good and the bad with that. And that weather doesn't just affect the opponents, it affects the home team as well. And we saw that, and it's only going to get worse as the season goes on. We're in November now at this point. I know it's Halloween today, but they're going to be playing Thursday night in November. The weather's going to be cold. You're going to start seeing some snow and wind and more rain. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and you can't love it, but then not use it as an excuse, if that makes sense. Like, it's going to affect the players, and it affected Deontay early in the game. But credit to him. I mean, I thought he was fantastic the rest of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Not a single drop. He made some huge catches, and I don't care what anyone wants to say. If anyone is trying to blame him for that miss in the end zone from Kenny Pickett, I question what you're seeing. Deontay does not need to sit on that route.
And then the other thing is, like, they're like, oh, he needs to plant his feet. No one's mentioning the conditions. This is wet, real wet grass. Like this, these are conditions as well. Like it so many things. Yes, I think Kenny was a little late on that. It is what it is. But you know who I will give a lot of credit to, and I heard the cheers in the stadium. I have to give credit to Matt Canada. I think he called a good game. Those first offensive drives, I think they were great, even though we threw the ball. I think there were things we, maybe we weren't expecting to see. I know I wasn't expecting to see. You said you thought that they were going to run the ball, and they did the complete opposite. I think it was called. It was just poorly executed. It's called well, poorly executed.
That is 100% spot on. This is a game where I went through the coach's tape last night, and I was like,
Mhm.
Matt Canada did a nice job. He schemed things open.
Yep. Mhm.
Everything else, I mean, Matt Canada schemed it up very nicely. That play in the end zone to Deontay, that was a call from Matt Canada. That was a man beater in the red zone. It worked to perfection. The quarterback didn't execute. The corner route to George Pickens, perfectly called out of a bunch formation against man coverage. Kenny Pickett underthrew it. It's there. It is 100% there, and Canada did a good job. I mean, is it still good enough? Probably not, but he called a good game Sunday.
Yeah, he did. And if you're not executing, you're not getting the first downs, you're not staying on the field, your defense is going to get scored on because they're going to get exhausted. It just is. Like, you giving Trevor, keep putting the ball back in his hands, and the defense did their job, getting was it 3 turnovers, taking the points off the board, because like I think most of the time, if not all the time, they were close to the red zone about to score. They were going to come away with points in that drive. Yeah. This wasn't the Rams field goal kicker that we were dealing with. So the defense did their job, and holding them. It ended up being 20. That miscommunication on that ETA touchdown, holding them to 20 points, I still think was phenomenal. They should have had way more than 20 points coming out of that game. And I said 20 is a number. And again, as I look ahead and looked at, yes, I know the Titans only have an average of 18 points a game.
Right.
Okay. Our average somehow went up from 14 to 15 something. Again, the 20-21 is still the number. You got to score 20 plus points to win. I say this every week.
It's like this every week. And that magic number for honestly the last decade has been that 17 to 21 window with the Steelers. If they hold their opponent to 17 to 21 points, you should win the football game. And for whatever reason, I mean, you see all these predictions every week, and it's like, oh, the Steelers are going to score 26, 28 points. It's like, this team struggles to get over 10 points a game. So those people complaining about the defense, and I took a little issue with Mike Tomlin's comments Monday about the turnovers not being all that impactful. A turnover is a turnover. I don't care where it occurs.
Yeah.
You got to do something with it. Yeah. I mean, Casey's interception literally took between 3 points and 7 points off the board. What more would you like him to do?
Yeah, and it did, and we were able to march down the field and get in a scoring position. So they went the 98 yards, which I was proud of. Like, I gotta give the offense credit. That's when we thought, things were kind of like, getting in a good place there, and then you come away with what, and so that for me, the turnovers are great. It turns the momentum. It gives these guys an opportunity. Gets your defense a freaking break, because they didn't drive after drive. It's crazy. I mean, I just feel bad for this defense. I just know they don't even get a chance to sit there and look at the tape, because the 3 and outs just happen so quickly. So I every time there's a turnover, I don't care where it is, just keep the points off the board.
Take the football away. It doesn't matter where it's at. Take the football away, give it back to your offense. You did your job. And the offense does not do theirs. I mean, Mason Cole said it Monday in the locker room. He said, our defense is playing phenomenally, and we are not helping them out. And that is as succinct, straight to the point as it gets. The offense isn't doing their job. The easy thing is to blame Matt Canada, but when you look closer the last few weeks, like we talked about a little earlier, it's execution. The plays are there.
It's that simple.
Yep. The talent is there. The plays are there. Those players just aren't making the plays. And it's that simple. And it's frustrating, because you and I know, and I think a lot of the fan base knows, how good some of these players individually are. So to see them with the drops, or, the mental mistakes with a penalty, or the young quarterback that has so much promise, and he's just not processing fast enough. It's frustrating because we've seen it, and we're just not seeing it consistently right now. And when that happens, and then you have an uphill battle against the officiating, which I'm sure we'll talk about, it's hard. It's hard to win in the National Football League.
It is. And one of the things I always have to remember, like the Pittsburgh Steelers put a lot of money into this defense. I don't know how long this defense as a unit is going to be able to stick together, but they put a lot of money on that side of the ball. So they do depend on that side of the ball to get it done. Yep. Even after, I think, Joey Porter made a play that ended up being an incompletion, Mike Tomlin comes over and says, you got to come back to that. Meaning you made a play, but you could have made an even bigger play.
Yeah.
So, I saw him mouth the words, you got to come back to that. So, that's how I know they expect this defense to go out there and get turnovers. And that is why he came to that podium and said what he said, like, yeah, they did it, but, it didn't really put the offense in the right positions because they invest so much in that defense and they have such high expectations for that defense.
Yep.
Help that offense out. And so I know the offense feels terrible that they can't execute for whatever reason because that defense is going out there and showing up. So we'll get to the refs. We'll talk about the refs and the calls. It was, like I said, it was an emotional roller coaster. I just felt like every time you had something good, it was kind of just you got deflated. James Pierre's, what was it?
It was the early pass breakup. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he had a pass interference, I believe it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pass interference. Then you had the unnecessary repping the passer. Then you had the field goal. The oh gosh, what was it with the
phantom offsides on
offsides? Yes, offsides. I mean, you just had some crazy calls from the ref that we just did not understand. And I really didn't think we were going to get the turnover. I thought that fumble, I really didn't think they were going to give that to us.
That was another situation that I think is overlooked out of that game because you have the side judge immediately running in and she is emphatically pointing to the ground that Bigsby was down by contact. Then you have the back judge come running up to say, no, I saw it clearly. He fumbled. So they called him down by contact on the field initially. And then all of a sudden, Alan Eck, the head official, comes on the intercom and he says, actually, the runner fumbled the football. It's Pittsburgh ball. It was so confusing. It's like, how can you say he's down by contact? And then you get together and 15 seconds later go, wait a minute, that's actually a fumble. It's Pittsburgh ball. That was the one where it was like, okay, this crew is incompetent. I don't mean to be that strong, but they shouldn't do another NFL game again. And I'm not using the officials as a reason why the Steelers lost. They didn't execute key spots.
Right.
But there were some calls in that game where it's like, what the heck is going on? The Keanu Neal roughing the passer. That is a textbook hit in football. Drive through the strike zone. You don't land your body weight on him. They throw a flag. Kenny Pickett gets slammed to the turf with his arm pinned underneath him. The defensive lineman falls on him. I think Kenny has a cracked rib at the very least. Somehow he's going to play Thursday. I have no idea. No flag.
Yep.
Then the field goal call. I was going to get something to eat at halftime with my brother, and I'm like, Boswell, 56, he's money. He's the most accurate kicker, 50-plus yards. I don't need to see it. He's going to drill it. All of a sudden, we're going down the escalator and we hear
literally people. I mean, when I tell you, I think Najee Harris was like going in the locker room. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we're going down the escalator to go down to the Great Hall, and we hear offsides on the right guard. I've been around football since I was 2 years old. My dad has coached. My whole family's been around it. I have never in my life heard offsides on an offensive lineman. And then you see the replay, and the Jaguars outside edge defender. His helmet's in the neutral zone.
In the neutral zone.
And I mean, I posted the clip on Twitter when I got home. You can hear Tomlin, like you can see what Tomlin mouthed to the one official.
Yeah.
And I think that summed up all of Steelers fans. Like, what the heck is going on here? What is wrong with you guys today? And it got worse and worse and worse. And it's just like, man alive. I mean, it was so bad. So bad. And then
people are trying to say, like, oh, but last week you guys got this call and that call. Look, they're gonna be calls, they're gonna be for you and they're gonna be against you. But I don't care what it is, we want it fair across the board.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you can't make it fair, like don't call it. You know what I mean? Don't call them then. But I just feel like I know that crew in general just had some bad stuff, whether it was for the Steelers or against the Steelers. They just did not seem confident.
And I know you and I have acknowledged this coming off of last week. Like, they shouldn't have gotten a first down on that. We as people that cover the Steelers and as fans will take it, but we also acknowledge, like, that was horrible. That is not a first down. He was well short. That was a horrible spot of the ball, period. We want the game called correctly. This game is so beautiful, so fun to watch. And when you have incompetency from the officiating, which is supposed to be the best of the best, getting it wrong so consistently in this league. And it wasn't just in the Steelers game. I don't know if you saw, but like there was an official there was one official that set the ball backwards after it had already been marked. In the Cardinals Ravens, I mean, the Jets Giants, an offensive player set the football down and marked it himself, and the officials were like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, just play with it." The Browns Colts game the week before, I mean, it's turning a multi-billion-dollar product into a joke, and it's a serious problem.
They send a letter saying, "Oh, we're sorry."
Yep.
Or next week
after the game,
guess what? You probably lost the game or something because they messed up, and they send you a letter. We're sorry. My bad.
Yeah, we got it wrong. We're reviewing how we call things. The thing that made me so furious, and I'll end my rant on this. Late at night, I'm working post-game stuff, and I see that there was a poll report of the head of officiating that was in stadium and the official that was on the field. And Alan Eck was the head crew chief for that crew. And he said the offsides call was obvious on the field.
Yeah, I saw that.
The camera is down the line of scrimmage. Don't try and pull a fast one on us. It's 2023. There's so much technology at our disposal. Don't talk to us like we're stupid. If it was so obvious, then those officials need to get their vision checked because nothing was obvious about it.
They need to be fined.
They need to be fined. They need to be suspended for bad calls.
Something needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren has been fined for playing football and has lost game checks for it. Let's start taking money out of the officiating's pocket when they completely screw up calls like this because it's affecting the product. It's affecting teams in general and their push for the playoffs. And whether people want to hear this or not, it's affecting betting lines too, which is a massive revenue generator for the NFL.
That's probably that's a whole show. When you look, I'll just say this: it's a reason why the FanDuels and the blah blah blahs and I won't even get into the name of all the other companies out there that have advertisements while these games are on. So if you don't think that, anyway. Okay.
Yeah, it was always taboo to talk about betting with sports, and now.
Oh yeah, it's celebrated every 3 seconds. So, but don't let a player do anything. Don't you?
Absolutely
don't
not.
Open that app.
Yeah, don't open that app at the facility and bet on a non-NFL sport.
But you can have a podcast and have a sponsor, but don't open that app.
No, it makes no sense.
Make it make sense. So moving on to these Tennessee Titans, Will Levis scored, I don't know 3-4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins had 3. Our secondary is questionable. shout out to JPJ. We'll talk about him too in a second. And we already know we struggle with stopping the run, and they have Derrick Henry. So I don't know if it was just beginner's luck because they didn't have a lot of film. Atlanta's defense last week is arguably a great defense in the NFC or in the league period, and has a decent secondary. So with Will Levis coming in and DeAndre Hopkins being a targetable weapon that we actually got to consider, not that we were going to not consider him before Will Levis, it was just Ryan Tannehill, right? Just seeing the relationship that they've built just in the one game, and already knowing that you have to stop the run with Derrick Henry. What do you think what do you think is going to be the best approach? I'm assuming it's just the pass rush. Like the pass rush is just going to have to get to Will Levis and show him something that he's obviously never seen or dealt with before.
Yeah, I think the key still in this game, even watching what Levis did against the Falcons, you have to stop the run first. You have to smash the run, like the Steelers like to say. The good news is they've held Derrick Henry under 80 yards in the last 3 meetings. So they've had success slowing him down. But you've got to make it an emphasis to take him away, make them one-dimensional, and then you turn that pass rush loose and say, okay, Rook, you're on the road on a short week in a hostile environment in prime time. You got arguably the best pass rush tandem in the AFC, maybe in the NFL coming at you. Let's see what you're made of. The Titans offensive line isn't that good when it comes to protecting. They've dealt with some injuries at both tackle positions. Teams are figuring out how to deal with TJ Watt some by widening him out, making him have to run a longer path to the quarterback. But this is a week for me, for Alex Highsmith to really come alive. There is an opportunity. I don't want to say opportunity. It's a possibility. Cameron Hayward is activated Thursday to come back from IR. I think that'd be a significant boost. But you've got to stop the run, and then you've got to get pressure on Levis once the Titans become one-dimensional. He is mobile. He does have good legs. He loves to take the deep shot. But I don't think his pocket presence is all that great. And he didn't face much pressure from what I watched the first time through the Falcons game. He didn't face that much pressure. He's going to face a lot on Thursday night. I think the Steelers are going to do everything they can to get after him. So that to me, though, it comes back. You got to stop the run. You got to stop Derrick Henry, because if he gets going, the Titans aren't one-dimensional. They can do whatever they want, play action. They can just really mix it up, and I think that would really stress a shorthanded, depleted secondary.
Yeah. I'm in some ways I'm excited. So I'm excited to see what they do without Minkah Fitzpatrick. That will give any quarterback, I think, a boost mentally. Like, oh, that guy's not out there. Yeah, we're going to tear the secondary apart. We saw him, throwing the deep ball, and deep balls are my fear, because we have not been able to defend that the best. So getting to him, making him make mistakes, these guys better be ready for the mistakes, because I think the pass rush, not knowing, you're going to be scared of a TJ Watt. Like you just are. You're going to account for that guy. You're going to make sure you put however many guys over there that you possibly can. So you know that guy's there. So knowing Alex Highsmith is on the other side and the spin moves and whatever he does to just get in your peripheral is going to mess with Will Levis. And I am so excited for it. I think Alex is going to be my guy for the rest of the year going forward when it comes to the pass rush. Not taking anything away from TJ Watt, but just seeing, me and Nick talked about it, just how versatile he is with the moves that he can make to get to the quarterback, just to, to make him move out of his spot. So I'm excited to see that from Alex. And if you add Cam in there, I just hope that we can. That just adds another element. I mean, Cam is just a bully. He is just a bully. And I know he can't wait to be out there. And we need somebody to pick up the hole. I love Larry. I love what Benton's doing. I even love what Leal's doing here. And
there's no Cam, though.
It's still not a Cam, but it's beautiful to have him out there. Coach Cam, he's been Coach Cam for a little bit for us now. It'll be beautiful. And JPJ, he has earned his starting spot.
Yes, he has.
So how do you see him this matchup?
That's honestly a guy where I say, okay, kid, this is what you did in college. This is what you've earned here in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You're on an island. You're in man coverage, press man most of the time. Let's see what you got. I mean, honestly, this is what you were brought in for. This is what your role is going to be moving forward. This is what we envisioned you being when we drafted you. Go show it to the world. I don't put a ton of blame on him for that touchdown to Travis Etienne. I know he had eyes in the backfield, but it felt like there was a miscommunication there from KZ, and that's going to happen without Minkah out there. But I mean, Joey has been awesome this year. Outside of tackling, he has been awesome in coverage. I think he's allowed 3 receptions on 14 targets for like 30 yards. Like, he's not giving up much at all. And just his length and physicality, you saw it against the Jaguars. I mean, when he was on Calvin Ridley wasn't getting many looks.
If there's one thing you can improve on as a corner, I believe it's tackling. Like, you can, I don't know how you could improve on getting burnt, but I believe that you can improve on tackling as a corner. So if that is your weakness, I welcome it. We could work on that, Joey. Tackling, we got that. Come on now.
Yeah, I would rather have a corner.
I don't know.
I'll take the coverage ability every day and twice on Sundays over a guy being a physical tackler. Like, I'm Deion's, like, I wrote this in an article last week, and I got a lot of pushback from readers because they thought I was comparing Joey Porter Jr. to Deion Sanders, which no, but Deion Sanders is considered what, the greatest cornerback in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
That man was allergic to tackling.
Yeah,
like refused to do it. So, and I've said this to people: you don't have to tackle if you knock the ball out of the air and he can't catch it. So let the kid play, put him on an island, let him press up against DeAndre Hopkins. Let him sink or swim. I think he's earned it to this point. He's shown he can swim and swim well. I don't think he's going to sink in this game if he's put on an island.
And Corey Trice, we miss you. Yes. We wish you could be out there, but get better and you'll be back next year. Wish we could have him out there as well. The young guys out there. Just, I hope he's absorbing and learning.
And I hope to see Darius Rush get some snaps this week.
Yes.
If Levi Wallace can't go, I know he was limited again today with that foot injury. It's a short week. I don't see him coming back against the Titans. So I want to see Darius Rush get some reps. I thought James Pierre played well against the Jaguars. I think we should see Patrick Peterson playing more of that Minkah role, that hybrid, move around, play a lot of safety.
All over the place.
Yeah, and I want to see Darius Rush get some reps. I put out a tweet here Tuesday afternoon after the deadline passed that I'm viewing Darius Rush as the trade deadline acquisition because
the Steelers
the Steelers loved him in the draft. They didn't have the chance to draft him. Mm-hmm. When the Colts cut him, the Steelers didn't really have that need at the position because they brought in Desmond King. Things didn't work out there. Now you've got some injuries. They stole him off the practice squad of the Chiefs. He's long, lanky, physical. He's got elite speed. Let's see it. They loved him that much in the pre-draft process. Give him some playing time.
It's a little too early to put him in. Learning the signals and all that. It's a big deal. Like it really is. And then knowing that now that Minkah is gone, it's like, okay, man, you got to get up to speed. We're going to need you out there. So I do think we probably see him more. And I 100% agree with you. That is your trade deadline move. That's your trade move, even though you didn't give up anything for him.
Exactly.
I don't know what the contract was. It's pennies, probably, to what's the guy from Chicago everyone was talking about.
Oh yeah, Jalen Johnson wanted $15 million a year on a new deal. Not happening.
The Steelers are cheap. They are like the Walmart of NFL clubs, right? He wanted a Target deal.
Yep.
Walmart over here.
We're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go get the Walmart brand.
Everyday low prices over here. Okay. Guaranteed money. You can kiss that goodbye. We're not doing it. Give somebody else to do it. They're not gonna do it. So and so you have to give up the money as well as picks. bye. It's not happening. So yes, he was very much the trade deal that you didn't get. You got it for a bargain, and that's what they bargain shop. They shop with coupons. Okay, that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers do.
I'll tell you what, it looks like they found a bargain with those coupons too, because this kid can play. We just need to see him get opportunities.
Yeah. So I look, I don't like it and I love it at the same time, because when guys stay, it's because they really truly love the organization. And you know, they take the discount. You know, they give the team the discount. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. And I respect it. You know, I don't know if it could be me, but maybe it could. I don't know. But yeah. So do you have a prediction for already?
I will give you one here. Yeah, I was just kind of kicking this around this afternoon. I think this is going to be another ugly game. I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying that. But I think on a short week, you know, the Steelers are going to have to get back to the basics. And I think that includes running the football, you know, possessing the ball. I think it's going to be ugly, and I'm leaning like 16-13 Steelers. They win the game on a Boswell field goal, as long as that same crew isn't out there calling an offsides penalty. But it's going to be ugly. I think they find a way to get to 5-3, and then I think they're going to beat the Packers the following week, and we're going to be talking about a 6-3 Steeler team, and we're kind of going to forget that feeling that we have in these last few days coming out of that Jags game. So
you hope so. It's crazy. People praise. I know I gave credit to his credit last week, and I gave him his credit this week. But because you don't come out with a W, you know, a lot of Steeler fans just cannot fathom blaming anyone else. He's like the low-hanging fruit, and I feel bad for the guy. Yeah. So I do agree with you. I think it'll still be a low-scoring game. We'll see what Kenny Pickett can give us, barring his injury. He says he's playing, so we'll roll with that. We'll see what happens. I expect the run game to, you know, they're going to at least try to get it going. They have to. They have to put that element in there. And there's been a lot of talk about the tight end, so I expect some tight end love.
Man, I hope so. I mean, not using Darnell Washington at times is puzzling. I mean, I love Connor Hayward. I know that you like him as well. I know he's beloved in the fan base. But this whole thing, Rodney Williams getting more snaps than Darnell Washington on Sunday, was just baffling. I mean, just very baffling.
I was high on Hot Rod. I really was. I wanted to.
Yeah, he had a good camp.
And I'm glad that we did keep him. And I don't know why I'm shocked, because I said this already. I said this in the beginning of the year. I said I won't be surprised if they don't start using Darnell Washington until the later half of the season, until they open up the playbook and don't give all their tricks out in the beginning, you know. Right. And I said that. And I don't know why I'm so angry about it, because I already said that they were going to wait to use it. So, but I'm ready for it now.
I think what has me so frustrated is Rodney Williams had 2 targets on Sunday. Darnell Washington has 3 on the entire year and hasn't missed a game.
And 1 catch for 10.
You know, I know he's not the most polished route runner, but the guy is 6'7", 280 pounds. I mean, just throw it up there. The guy
was put him in the back of the end zone. Like, he could have planted himself in the back of the end zone, and you could have thrown it to him instead of the whole whatever. Okay, I'll let it go. Look, I can't be mad at what I predicted, because that's what I said was going to happen. So, even though it's frustrating.
What is your prediction? What is your prediction for Thursday? Do you have one yet?
I don't have a full score one. Like, the predictions really just come to me. Like, they just.
That's how I am. I usually.
It really just happens, but I do agree. It's probably gonna be low scoring, and again, like I'm always circling around the number 2021, because it's really,
that's the magic number.
Make or break. It's make or break for this team. Yeah. So 17's in there. 17-13 seems like something, but I'll see how I feel on Thursday if it's going to be that.
Are you leaning Steelers though?
I am leaning Steelers. Okay. I think they typically do well against rookie quarterbacks.
Yes.
So I think they're gonna give Will Levis some issues. I hope that they do give him issues. I hope DeAndre Hopkins. They tend to, like with Devontae Adams, he had a game, but nobody else really did. Right. So for some reason, I still don't want Devontae Adams to have a game. So we got to figure out a way to get him out of the picture. He can have a couple catches, but I don't want him in the end zone 3-4 times. We can't let them score touchdowns on us. They can have field goals, but they cannot score touchdowns on us.
I'm with you. I'm with you there.
So yeah, I haven't fully settled down on the 17-13 yet, but I'm gonna marinate a little bit on it.
There you go.
But everybody, please go check out my friend Josh. He has his in there, by Josh Carney. He is a writer for Steelers Depot, so please check him out. And thank you for coming through. Thanks on such a short week. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, not a problem. Always appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too.
All right.